Yeah, there
I
should be
need, I need to set up a.
It may hear your sound if because I'm going live with it now.
Okay.
Visual.
So where you said you started music on here?
Not on there. I have to touch that.
Oh, you didn't do any music on here? Okay.
Turn your mic off for a second.
Oh yeah, our mic's on.
Um, sort of, I mean, we're moving toward, each of us having our own personal agents. So that's literally what I thought was gonna happen. And,
So you did think what you're seeing, you did have at least a vision of that back in '86, that what we're seeing, you actually.
yes, I'm rewriting history. Absolutely.
Okay.
No, but at the time we were sort of looking at advanced telephony services, I got involved in contact centers because, the idea that
Coming through.
part of this improving communications would be adding intelligence to the public network. And it happened first in contact centers, and it was an automation story. So when you think about it, oddly enough, something like automated directory systems was the best example of what was going to happen. Because the thing that answered the phone was a robot that said, what city, what listing, and then they transferred it over to a person that said, here, and here's the number you're looking for. And that had evolved from a pretty labor intensive business of having, cranking the phone and telling somebody who you wanted to talk to. So we had a precursor technology that would go from human to human to machine and decide how much should be human and how much machine. And
We can maybe do 5, and we should be doing it in a minute. So, Q, I don't know if you're able to flag them that the time's up, their time's up, and at 12:30, they're supposed to. I mean, no, it's 12:30. Well,
What time did we start?
And then we'll talk about context, say that,
yeah.
I'm doing 5.
when,
Just chip away at us.
a phone call was received, you captured the number that was associated with it, and then started the whole process of associating things with that number. This thing, what have they done? So, little things like automated number identification, I had involved. So, yes, I had no idea what was going to happen. I knew that it was going to be build on precursor technologies that haven't gone away to this day, so.
No, but I did ask you one, because you're kind of like, right. Because I mean, it's not often I get a chance to have two godfathers sitting side by side. I'm trying to think of something that, I don't hardly ever ask you a question. It's kind of weird for me that treat you like.
Except I stumped the god.
I should have done a stump the godfather. Well, I mean, you started in CRM, like you wrote the book, what, 1999? I started writing, it came out, the first edition of CRM Speedlight came out in 2001, actually. CRM was such a different thing back then. Well, we had higher hopes for it, I'll say that. I mean, had those hopes been met? I mean, not those hopes, but at the same time, so here's the irony of it. Back then, we were looking at it in a much bigger way. It wasn't CRM technology per se, CRM strategy, CRM business practice, CRM philosophy, and an outlook. And at the same time, it was systems of technology to support all that. And that was kind of the idea. The way the market interpreted all that eventually was system and technology and not the other stuff. Now, that said, it was a transition point literally at the same time when Dan was talking about in 2008, 2009, where social CRM emerged, and then we, remember, you and I in particular, began distinguishing social CRM. I call it CRM 12. I loved your calling it social CRM. And so I said, okay, I wrote that kind of put a stake in the ground post. And I said, well, Brent Leary's calling social CRM. I like it way better than what I'm saying. So I'm calling social CRM from here on. And then put 43 principles out. Social CRM, but what that turned out to be was that was temporary. And it was a transition to CX, really, where CRM became what it is now, which is fundamentally operational system technology, which are indispensable to a company. So, and that's why it's the world's largest business technology. And that's great. I mean, that's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It just changed. And then CX and customer engagement kind of took over the rest of the functions. This more strategic look at it, the more right brain look at it, look at culture, those kind of. So is CRM what I thought it was, what, and not, is it what I thought it was, I wouldn't even say that. I would say it wasn't what I wanted it to be back then, but it ended up being something perfectly good.
Well,
Just
she doesn't go up at,
I was trying to say a way to segue the Yankees question. And
Yeah, we're doing that with the Yankees.
really can do it. And I think we're kind of getting
No,
over.
we talk about the Yankees, yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we don't have no beefs breaking out here. I think we're kind of close to the end, or we kind of wrapping up our. Dan, first of all, thanks for joining us.
Sure.
And then you get this off. You get the, you officially retired, but you come out of retirement just to join us. We appreciate it.
Awesome, well, you are just an awesome person. You really are.
I love this mutual admiration. It's, I don't know the 44th principle and.
Going to 43, I stopped. Ran out of ideas.
So I think this is so weird. I'm running like the future of media right now.
I know.
ANRD.
This is the regular close out
Well,
without.
I think we're gonna hand over to our.
Close out. We can still close out.
Okay, all right, so the bot father. I'm Brent Leary.
I'm Paul Greenberg.
We're the CRM players and don't go nowhere. Hold that dot. Nobody's on the dot. Okay, this is fun for us because usually we're done, you know, we go back to our, you know, my basement or whatever. Now, this is like a full day of PPN broadcasting coming up. And I don't,
Make sure this camera. All right, yeah, ready. All right, let me know when you're ready.
I am ready to go.
And audio is on, is there on your computer?
Yep,
Okay.
which means we're
Paul, and I'm Kenny, and this is EWK.
Oh.
awesome.
We never had a lot of.
I know, it's crazy. I don't know. I don't know, you say, what do we ever talk about?
We need to talk about who we bring it.
Yeah, what are we drinking? What are we drinking? And why are we drinking this? I think that is the question.
Okay, so
Listen,
let's put it this way. Claude, Perplexity, ChatGPT, Copilot, and Gemini chose this bottle of alcohol, which is Old Forester 1920 bourbon. Very high proof, by the way, 150 proof. Now, the thing about this bourbon, it is designed to go with the chocolate ice donut. And last night, the I assisted donut cake.
chocolate ice.
Chocolate ice specifically. This is a great bourbon, and we're drinking it, we happen to be at a conference. Called IRL 2025, and it actually is IRL, like there's actual people here. It's a little freaky, but
Well, we can say that we do drink on our show,
every episode.
so that is how we started.
Now, there's one difference. This is the first time ever I'm going to be able to walk to and drink to our guests.
I know, I know, I know, it's exciting, it's a wonderful opportunity to encourage drinking. Okay, well, and by the way, it was a nice pairing.
Alright.
Feedback from, our winning of bartender.
Yeah.
By the way, I don't know if you guys met him, he's here today too. Go meet Justin, he's absolutely remarkable. And
Yeah.
this guy, I was gonna help him with the bourbon and dark space, but he ended up doing the whole thing. And he hadn't tasted or done any pairing. He came back with a critique of every one for me, including Wild Farewell and White Vineyard, which is totally astonishing. And he was right.
Yeah, he out artificially intelligence the AI, so I guess that would just be intelligence.
Yeah.
That would just be intelligence.
Yeah, you're-
Yeah, and that's pretty impressive.
So,
Um,
probably should get into it.
yeah, well, let's just have a little touch here and then we can go ahead. To IRL 2025, to good friends. We're gonna do more audience. Oh, that's nice. Okay, so, that's a special.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. We had the discussion this morning with, I was on stage with, Anand Cocker and, Todd Harris. We talked about gaming and business model around gaming and the power of gaming itself. And let's put it this way, it's not a done in 10, 15 minutes subject at all. So we wanted to continue the conversation. So without getting into a lot of explanation, because we have a good idea of where we can go and you can guide us. I would like to bring back on right now, Anand Cocker and Todd Harris. Come on in, guys. And we're gonna be cleaning mics off, so. You guys like, okay, I'll do the morning.
I just added you as a speaker to this session.
we started off with a pretty fascinating panel a little while ago, and I think what would be important is to kind of back up just a little bit, and let's kind of set the scene, especially for those that are not a part of that. Either those that are streaming and watching us right now, or on the time shift on demand watching. So maybe just start and just give us a little bit of background on each one of you, and then let's get into it. It's a fascinating topic.
My name is Todd Harris. About that. Okay, much better. My name is Todd Harris, been 21 here, part of the show, been doing technology and entrepreneurship for about 30 years here in Atlanta, gaming and esports, which we'll touch on for about 20 years. And yeah, gaming is a passion of mine. People don't realize how large the industry is, $200 billion. So the largest entertainment industry on planet Earth, larger than film and music put together. But I think you should be curious about it if you are a parent of a gamer, or if you were a business owner or interested in getting closer to your customer, because gaming is doing a lot right. So I think that's what I'm excited to share, not only about the industry, but what other industries can learn from gaming.
Yeah, my name is Anand Thakur, and I have a very eclectic history. I know many of you know that. It's long about that now, because probably had to hear it 3 times. But I actually started in the energy space, learning all about how to use data, consumer behavior, and leveraging AI back then even. And then eventually into financial markets, and then into venture entrepreneurship. So I've had 7 ventures, and 4 of them worked out, and 2 were really good. And then I got into investing, helping investment firms, kind of finding companies in very chaotic, very high density environments, competitive environments, and trying to figure out what are the best spots. And now lately, I'm still in venture, but mostly in private equity. I'm actually exploring to see how the mid market to the larger enterprises work out, and occasionally I get into as well. So the common thread for me, especially how it relates to gaming, has been utilizing the concepts that the gaming industry has, harnessed, especially with using technology to unite people and to build together and to play together and to be with each other, is really part of what has been a part of a thesis in selecting companies to invest in, or watching companies transform that should be on the rise, or folks who don't realize how much of an asset that a company, this type of interactivity or this type of engagement and the level of love for the brand and love for each other on building things together is a valuable asset, just like a piece of machinery or perhaps a building or even an intellectual property.
First let's clarify, when we talk about gaming, we're talking about console gaming, mobile gaming, right? We're not talking about gaming.
And PC gaming.
PC gaming, console gaming. So here's the thing. So I think it's people who watch me doing a game and enjoy the experience. I ran marketing for the most everywhere. So I have spent a lot of years during that time and thinking about fandom, what that means, thinking about how to thrive fandom, thinking about how to capture that, thinking about how to collapse distances between the fan and the brand. How do you look at how you can help to create kind of behavior for your deepen the relationship, for you build more intensity, or different support for different places that might look like it. We're not talking about KPIs here, but I'm saying that there's ways you can measure that, right? What I'm really curious is talking about gaming. This sounds like this sector is doing something incredibly right in terms of how they, business model, the behavioral model, the ways that they're bringing in new technology and cross play, all this stuff, to deepen that relationship, create addictive behaviors in a positive way. And we all love to create being more of an addictive behavior. Fandom is about, immersing yourself in that belonging, with other people in that relationship. So I'm curious where there's similarities in what other sectors are doing and where it's just so absolutely unique right now.
Well, you hit a lot there, and I'd probably say engaging, maybe tweak the addiction and use the engaging word, but I feel you. And I think that, what I learned in doing any product development is you want to be as close to the customer and you want to put the product in your customer's hands as early as possible, right? Kind of that agile approach. And so, for context, even before gaming, when I was doing retail software, I joined a company here in town, Radio Systems. It was one of the first unicorns here in Atlanta. We were building point of sales for retail restaurants, convenience stores, quick service restaurants. I worked at a large company, and there were probably 10 layers between me and the end customer. My first day at Radiant Systems, because our product was for convenience stores owners, and I was the product development lead, they put me in a convenience store and I ran the register all day long, selling cigarettes, lottery tickets, pay at the pump, zero training. There's nothing better than that to know whether your application is actually serving the end customer's needs or whether you're serving the needs of a C-level person who may be out of touch. And the amazing thing about gaming, particularly when it moved from being a box product to a digital downloadable product, is that the gaming industry, the good companies, are always in conversation with their end customer. So even though it's an entertainment product, if we're doing a movie, a Marvel movie, and we're spending $100 million, we may not know until those early dailies whether they're testing well or not, and it's too late to change. With an online game at the company we built, High Res Studios, when we were working on a new game, we could distribute that digitally to our customer. We would get feedback. In fact, our user base would actually often buy an early access pass just to be part of that cohort who was giving feedback.
Direct feedback or behavioral feedback?
Both subjective feedback collected on our own forums or Discord or Reddit communities that the gaming folks. The subjective tells us there's a canary in the coal mine. There's something that we should look at. But gaming, because it's digital, we know we have a tail of the tape of every action that the player is taking. What are they doing in the first 15 seconds? What are they doing in the first 15 minutes? Where are we losing people in that funnel? So the combination of subjective feedback, the objective feedback, and just honestly the conversation with the audience. The fact that they could talk to the developers and the developers would talk, that builds that fandom, and it really informs the product. What we ultimately shipped was much different than what our game designers thought was going to be fun. Fun is just a hypothesis, and the audience tells you along the way when you've gotten it right or wrong.
I think from that standpoint, there's a lot of general overlap with business. But for example, on the biggest scale, we're living in a world now of platforms and ecosystems, and that's pretty much it. And when you can institutionalize feedback in an ecosystem and then apply it to a platform or an app or something specific, then you see the power multiplied by a zillion. And you have, on one hand, you have the platform and ecosystem, which you briefly mentioned this morning, which is Steam, but you also have these big communities, but there are also ecosystem parts like Reddit and other things where there's constant feedback going on, whether or not the gaming company accepts Twitter, right? It's constantly going on by the high intensity player. And then you have a more, it's kind of an influencer combined with people like having money at it, which is where you get Twitch and a little bit of Discord in that way. So it's a very encompassing thing. And here's the thing. For me, Steam core on the PC side at least, and it's a very mature ecosystem. It's not, we're not dealing at a pretty mature platform. It's got a lot of problems, it's got customer service issues, it's had problems with the way that, well, one of the things they did, for example, which is they give creators a place to greenlight, get their games greenlit and sold, right? So they become a market for the game. They have a market of mostly trade items and things like that, which the interesting thing about it's not so much, like I haven't accumulated like tens and hundreds of thousands of these cards that are utterly meaningless to anything I do. But, and I have to spend time if I wanted to do this, but they sell them. They actually also, they don't just use them, you can sell them and say there's a market price that is relative to the day or the time. So it's like, this one typically sells at 6 cents or something like that, and that goes to Steam credit. So you gotta realize how it's a closed ecosystem, actually, even though it's not really fun, not from the standpoint of the community side, but the business side is kind of closed.
The value of that changes.
It's astonishing. Yeah, well, yeah, no, it's a marketplace. People, you can bid on these cards. I don't know what to do. I don't know what makes them possibly useful, but what they do. And the other side of it is the level up for the gamer who just wants to play. Look, I have, again, take 2 minutes, but not, wouldn't say it. I have over 500 games on Steam. 100 over. Do I play them all? Okay, right? But the net interesting thing for me as a gamer is I don't have to worry about updates. It just gives me a notification, hey, need to update. And it's right there. I just do an update where I set it so it runs. Remember, you're dealing with something that takes and creates almost it's a world of its own, but a world that still remains connected to the actual world at the same time, even though its world is complete fantasy.
I think we see a familiar model with this in the app marketplaces, right? So the App Store, or the app stores, and it's Apple's thing, the App Store. So, but people can now create, contribute, add to the flavor of the experience of their phone or their tablet or their. I mean, this is, if you're not familiar with Steam, this is exactly only one part of the app. I mean, the App Store kind of thing is one part of where you can see the opportunities for businesses to find a platform to build, to contribute, to add, to refine, to customize and personalize, right? Now add to what Paul was saying is you've got now people interacting with each other on these platforms, rating these types of games, being able to share their thoughts. You got the Rotten Tomato piece, you got the Reddit piece, you got now there's like exchanges of currency piece, right? So there's a lot of avenues to go back into Steam or this platform of Steam, and not just to buy games, but also to enhance your experience, to add to the experience, and also to share that with other people as well.
Yeah, with gaming, I mean, the user, it's very passion driven, and more than that, it's very community driven. People have a stereotype of gaming being an isolated opportunity, the kid in the basement. And while there are single player games, the vast amount of revenue today is multiplayer online games, and gaming is the new form of social networking. You start and you're playing with your friend on Fortnite and talking about trying to win. And then you're just staying on and talking about homework or boys or girls. And so it really is the new form of social. And I think, Anand, as you were saying, the big theme that I see right now is the users being part of adding to the product. So I mentioned feedback, but even more than feedback, you can, as a gamer, extend the game. Paul talked about mods, doing a custom version, a custom layer, and others talk about with Roblox, for example, or in Fortnite, the game is becoming a platform for creation.
Share how much.
Well, yeah, so most of these games are free and they're virtual. Yeah, I mean, I think, right, many of these free-to-play games, are more than a billion of revenue, right? So the gaming industry overall is $200 billion globally, and it costs nothing to play the game. You are monetizing through digital virtual items, the equivalent of costumes within the game.
So that is sucking at is Gears of War. We used to play, we actually played competitively, and then a bunch of us who are now 40 something, 50 something, went back and played with other kids at a Microsoft store that were 14. They really just annihilated us. So
I'm old school, and I used to love to go to Casey's Arcade in Raleigh, North Carolina, and I was good at all the games except for Defender. There were too many buttons. I was impressed by those guys that can rock Defender. But yeah, man, I suck at some Defender.
I suck at Fortnite, you know, I tried once, you know, when you parachute out, I was dead before I hit the ground. So. Okay, you suck at it?
No, I play against my son, I play against my.
Well, guys, thank you.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Thank you.
All right, work on
To be continued.
That's, I guess. I know, it's like, we're so used to a different kind of ending here.
Yeah.
Usually we say, okay, everybody, we do a thing and then we go, we just gotta go.
We
All right, so we'll see you guys later. Gotta get out of here.
Yeah.
You don't need to.
All right, thank you so much again for our guests and also for the show Engage with Paul and Kenny. So we have our next show coming up in just a moment here. Give us some time to set up, of course. But we're really excited about our next show, which is going to be The Crunch, hosted by Rebecca Whitman and also Dave Smith. So I'm really excited about that. And we have the live audience here still, so you guys please stick with us. Those of you guys that are watching us live, please let us know what you thought about our previous panel with the gamers. Hopefully we have some gamers out in the audience. In the meantime, in between time, go take care of yourselves, but be sure to come back because The Crunch is next. All right, everyone.
Play music again, if you don't mind. Actually, I would even keep the music just kind of below this here. Nope. That one's on. Oh, you stitch it. Muted right now? Yeah.
Okay. Now. Okay, they can hear me.
Oh, that's, okay. Who's running? Hey, everybody.
Hey, what's going on, Rebecca?
I'm Rebecca Webb.
I'm David Mario Smith. And we are here live with the Crunch in real life.
That's right. IRL in Atlanta.
IRL. You're not slaying together? IRL.
IRL. Here we are.
LOL.
ROM.
LMAO.
It's good to see you.
It's
It's been a while.
Yeah, I know.
We haven't done this
Never
together.
that's the personal life.
Never done this together.
That's right, we haven't so far. And we've always been virtual, so here in real life in Atlanta. The ACL, it's snowing.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy, right?
Yeah, a little icy, a little slick.
A little icy, yeah.
Cold.
A lot of accidents yesterday.
A lot of sap.
A lot of that, a lot of that.
But you know who's not here with us today?
Sadly, things.
Those of you that watch the Crunch have seen it numerous. But he's here with us in spirits.
That's right, we miss you, buddy.
Mommy will be home tonight, babe. But on to more serious things. Talking about serious
I
things.
have no idea. I think we're gonna wing it a little bit now. We're actually talking about AI agents, agentic AI.
Genetic AI.
Some serious, unfunny stuff.
Yeah, and I know a lot of folks here are really CX focused stuff,
Yeah.
but I want to talk about some of the employee experience stuff, too, you know, because a lot of the really interesting stuff that's going on with agentic is around employee facing stuff.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I also think so sometimes we kind of get super far into the AI hype machine. It's one thing that the other machine was like, we're kind of like super curmudgeons. It was like, oh, that's just workflow automation, and
Yeah.
AI schmea, that ain't nothing.
Yeah, and a lot of it is a little bit creatively marketed projects.
Indeed, a lot of marketing,
There's a lot of creativity going
a lot of
on.
marketing.
How many realize IRA customers have you spoken to that say, yeah, I have an agent production,
Not a lot.
like a real,
What about you?
a few folks getting there, but it's early days. And let's face it, a lot of the stuff that we'll think of as agentic is the workflow stuff that we're speaking about today, right? There's sort of a fine line
Yeah.
between good old workflow automation and AI.
Exactly, yeah, you did.
So a lot of folks even kind of separate the real from the.
Yeah.
Okay,
But we are seeing some interesting stuff, right? We're seeing some with that multi-agent collaboration stuff where it's getting a little bit more complex, where it's not just work automation, there's not just rules-based stuff, there's a lot of complexities involved. So we're seeing some change, but yeah, it's a lot of stuff that we're seeing now mostly is a lot of automation stuff.
yeah, and I think part of that is we're sort of figuring out how they get their process, their data, get harder to be able to do the intelligent stuff, because if I don't have those two pieces, I'm not gonna get very far with an agent.
Data is that's the operative word, data, right? Get your data right.
But who better to help us talk about agentic AI than
What do you have to see?
someone I'm thinking of that's in the room.
What are you doing?
Someone who's I'm thinking of who's in the room not paying attention on his phone. Charlie.
Come on, Charlie.
Here I am.
Yeah.
I couldn't hear the one back. Now the show started. Okay, here we go. I'm here. I'm here now.
So we were just talking about how most of this agentic stuff is made up.
I don't think
It's all hype.
Thinking about, you know, customers being really early on, say, right, and
Right.
understanding what they can do with agentic. And really the fact that they're realizing as they get down the road, even if they're playing with building agents, they've got things they need to system perspective, or data perspective, and get their house to merge.
right or not,
Or not.
because agents can actually help you organize your data too.
Mhm.
So we have a philosophy where we like to see everything
what we call our data cloud platform.
Mhm.
And with our data cloud platform, you can just, and there was a debate. Oh,
We did not, yeah.
okay.
Like,
Sure.
Okay, hey, I'm Charlie Isaacs, and it's great to see a live audience. Woo! Yeah.
Come on, y'all.
And hi, everybody out there. Hey, look, there's Einstein on our screen right here. It's right there. I like Einstein. What I do is I work with customers and help them build their vision for the future.
Mhm.
And lately, it's been all Agent Force.
Yeah.
And I will, do technical due diligence on the company and try to ascertain their vision for the future, and then we build it in what we call art of the actual, not art of the possible, but art of the actual, because you can take our platform on Salesforce and rapidly
Yeah.
prototype things, and then test it out, harden it a little bit, move it to production. So,
I want to go back to something that you said before that I was really, really interesting.
okay,
Because we're joking around about whether agent is real or not.
Yeah.
But you've done really, really good from customers as well, which is if you can build an agent quickly, your agent you variables in the data are, right? So you can do this sort of reverse data hygiene where the agent gives me the wrong answer. I say, oh, either I need to add to construction or I've got this data that's missing or not correct.
Right.
Accurate. Right. So it's a really kind of turning it on its head. You certainly have to get your data in order to make AI work. In fact,
So, first, there a little bit, yeah.
yeah, so clean data is great, okay. And we have data cleaning tools. And we have partners who have data cleaning tools, so clean data is optimal. However, when you have a platform like Data Cloud, where you can bring in pretty much anything you can imagine to bring in into our platform and normalize the data, Data Cloud. We have, for example, zero copy partners like Snowflake is probably our premier zero copy platform. Where if stuff is running in Snowflake, you don't have to copy it in the data cloud. You can bring, we have a built-in vector database in Data Cloud you can leverage, but Snowflake, great. The data's there, you can leave it there. You can put a whole bunch of really bad data if you wanted to in Salesforce and then operate on it, either unstructured or structured data.
Yeah.
And then Agent Force can go out there and look at it and say, okay, find where there are gaps. Do you see anomalies? And where are areas I should focus? But that's not the primary use case that I see when I'm working for customers. It's good to ask for clean data, but the primary use cases I see are employee facing or customer facing.
So what's the weirdest thing?
But what's the weirdest thing I've built so far on Agent Force?
Or that they've asked you.
So I had to actually build a factory, Agent Force factory without having a factory. There was a manufacturing company that said, we've got autonomous robots in our factory.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we want to see one, there's a autonomous forklift at the end loading dock. There was a robotic arm that lifted stuff and put it on the conveyor belt. And there was an automated conveyor belt running underneath. So we had 4 different devices basically.
Yeah.
That we were automating. So what I did, I used the Unity platform.
Yeah.
As they were talking about gaming earlier, so Unity is a great platform for gaming, build games on it.
Yeah.
But I gave you the factory, and with Unity, you can build it's C# built into their platform. So what can you do with that? I can post events out from C# and Unity. So when the conveyor belt's moving, I know that I can send all those events in through MuleSoft, which is that's the other way to get data in the data cloud. You can use zero copy. You can use you can build an ingest point. You can use MuleSoft to bring. We have thousands of departments that build connectors on MuleSoft, for example. But I just took that data from Unity, pushed it into MuleSoft, and ran Agent Force against it. And I said, okay, what happens if this conveyor belt fails? Right.
Yeah.
So Agent Force went out and fixed the conveyor belt on the fly. So that was kind of strange because I'm running their factory and I showed them the vision of what their factory would look like without even connecting their the factory.
Yeah, sure. Can you show us actually what Agent Force is? So some people may not even know.
Okay, so Agent Force
is, we launched a product about 2 years ago. Actually, we've been in the AI business since 2014. I don't think that, we started off with Einstein and everything else. So Einstein's built into our product already. But Agent Force is a capability where you can basically type to it instructions and it will execute actions. So the way it works structurally is there's something called a topic, and you build instructions within the topic. And the topic will go out and leverage your data. This is where the data comes in. So anything that's connected to the Salesforce platform, remember we were talking about Data Cloud before, anything connected to the Salesforce platform is leverageable from that Agentforce agent through what we call an action. So if I want to connect that battery up, all those events that come into Data Cloud, I can leverage those from an action, and the sky is the limit at this point. So it will go out, and now we have an API for it, and you can post things, robots can post they can create agent sessions. And Agentforce can answer them back and say, oh, you're having an error code 123. Here, this is how you fix it. Or let me give you an over-the-air update that fixes that problem. So the autonomous vehicle forklift can fix itself. Or we're also on the Qualcomm Snapdragon platform, the automotive platform. We can do AI Agentforce use cases on real cars out there.
I'd be curious thoughts on this. Things that between both the HCM and the CRM space is that when we start talking about agentic automation, increased productivity on the sales and marketing side, it sounds like growth, sounds like increased profits. Whereas on the HR side, sometimes that sounds like cutting the gap. Does that mean you think the agentic stuff is going to come from the CRM than the HCM side, or are you hearing that?
I'm hearing that even in like the term digital labor, right, which you guys I think there is a tendency to think that may be like job loss, right? But there's no way to think about it, right? How do you then get ahead of that and get smarter than right, to then get those AI jobs?
I'm just wondering from your perspective, Charlie, if you're speaking to the sales and marketing operations audience versus the HR audience, if the reception, if the communication about what you're doing is different, is marketing different?
Yeah. So we have a lot of use cases around, I lost my mic. Did I lose my mic? I think it's on. Oh, maybe the battery died. Count your blessings, everybody. My battery died. Okay, I'll take this one. There we go. New battery I have. So we have use cases around internal use cases in Salesforce, where each department within Salesforce is improving Excel. And yes, in some cases, productivity is increasing dramatically. Well, here's a public example, because I can't talk a lot about what we're doing internally, but I can talk about what's customer facing right now. Our whole customer service department was disrupted within 2 weeks by Agentforce, because what they did was they took our customer service. So if you go to help.salesforce.com right now, it's all Agentforce. So you can go to, everybody out there, go to help.salesforce.com and you're talking to Agentforce. And their productivity shot up at least 30%. So you're right, that freed up a lot of people. So now, guess what? We were previously hiring in customer success. Those people have skills to help customers, right? So in that case, we would repurpose those people in other areas and they'd be productive. When you have Salesforce skills, you're very valuable, right? So we can always find places for the lead. So I'm hoping that most of the disruption here will result in repurposing of those people and making them more productive at the same time.
And so I guess how important, I guess, is reskilling and upskilling in those areas as well too.
Yes, exactly. Some other use cases, I mean, so since we turned customer service from the outside in, I could talk about some internal use cases where our productivity is going up. I had my Mac locked me out over the weekend, and I had Agentforce got me through 90% of the stuff that I have to suffer through on the phone with a real person. And it just walked me through and I got to the end and it did the exact right thing. You know how chatbots, you have to say agent, whatever, if you're talking or something, you say agent.
Representative agent, yeah, whatever.
Right. They knew exactly what I had tried before because Agent Force kept track of everything I tried before, so I didn't get that horrible question that everybody gets. Oh, they start at the beginning of the flow chart. Well, guess what? You don't have to start at the beginning of the flow chart with Agent Force because it knows everything you've done before and it just carries on. The first thing I said, here, let me give you your reset key for your Mac. And just started right there. I didn't have to go through all the steps that I went through that Agent Force walked me through. Yeah.
I want to go back super quick to your point about studying and upskilling, because I think that's gonna be really important.
Yes.
You just think about circular impulse. Cool. So that I maybe want to move from service to customer success.
Yeah.
That one, track that.
Yeah. And is that an HR thing you think is also?
Yes, on skills.
Right,
Right?
yes.
All right, so we've got a few minutes left. So I don't think we have the intro for this, but it's crunch time.
It is crunch time.
So at the end of the crunch, when I'm listening, I don't, biscuit as well.
No, he didn't.
He didn't.
I haven't biscuit on yet.
Okay, yes. He had to put biscuit on.
I know. It's my Yorkie.
We're missing Patrick too.
Yes, we are missing that, but this is the part of the show where Patrick asks you those questions.
Oh, okay.
Who's your favorite superhero?
Oh, Superman,
Why?
because he's strong and he's fast, he's agile, and he's loving.
He said,
He believes
You
in
have a great
truth, he believes in truth, justice, and the American way.
So my first is actually Batman.
Okay.
Because he's rich
Well, there you go.
and he makes stuff.
Okay. What is one talent you wish you had?
Oh,
Wanna go first?
you go first.
Oh my God. I wish I could play the piano.
I wish I could sing.
And I can sing it again.
Really? Prove it. Yes.
And finally, if you could come back as any person or thing, what would you be?
I'd be myself. Because I'm surrounded by love, and I've got the best family and the best friends. And
Good answer. Good answer.
Oh, good answer, good answer.
I'm so. I think I have to steal it. Don't be me.
Yeah, I think I would come back as.
He's pretty spoiled.
Great. Excellent. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for including me. I really
Yes,
appreciate
thank you
it.
so much, Charlie. It's been great.
No, thank you, David.
And remember, guys, to say and it's crunch.
That was fun.
I think this needs a battery.
That it was? Yeah.
And this is a dead one.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah,
Thanks, guys.
that's all right. Unless you're in charge of
You can't hear me at all?
Okay.
Are you keeping this here?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. You'll put it. Yeah. Yeah.
And so our next show, we are going to actually have a special guest on this show as a result because of some technical difficulties already. I'm hearing some hate out there from Brent about this special guest because he is special. But our next show is going to be called A Few Good Minutes. Anyone here a fan of A Few Good Minutes? Yes, a few good minutes. So, without further ado, we're gonna have a few good minutes. So lo and behold, everyone does not need a, introduction because you've seen his beautiful face all day today. His name is Brent Leary. Let's give it up for Brent.
Okay. Ain't technology brand. Yeah. All right, so I do a show semi-regularly, like maybe once or twice a week. I call it A Few Good Minutes. And I get a chance to speak to a whole bunch of different smart people, funny people. People have done a lot of things in their life. This is not going to be one of those shows. Actually, so I was really excited. We were going to have Jonathan Becker join us virtually. Jonathan is the president of the San Jose Sharks. He's also a longtime technologist. He's a venture capitalist. He's a startup advisor. He's all those kinds of things. But unfortunately, we had some technical difficulties and we will not be able to have Jonathan join us. However, there was another John in the studio right here. And his last name is Lawson. Now I gotta introduce this guy the way I traditionally introduce him on a show that we do together called Pass the Mic. So just bear with me while I get through this. Let me introduce to you the bold one. Some call him the cold one. He just had a big birthday, so I'm going to call him the old one. John Colder Ice Lawson. Please take a seat. Yeah, walk gingerly, you know. Make sure you don't break nothing when you sit down.
Oh my God.
That big birthday just happened. All right.
Hey, let me see.
First of all, yeah, get comfortable because I'm getting ready to roast you.
No, you can't do that. Can't
All right, no, I can't do that because you are wearing a Prince outfit.
Yeah.
That is really nice. Yeah, oh, there's some Prince folks there. Yeah, that's right there.
Okay, wow.
The Prince in the house. All right. All right. For those who do not know you,
Yes.
I know there are very few people like this,
I know.
but please introduce yourself to those few who do not know you.
Oh, like, what do you want me to say? I mean, come on. I've been in the e-commerce industry for over 20 years. I built a 9-figure business. I've sold a lot of crap to a lot of people all around the world, including the South Pole. You know, I never forget. I
Who
got
bought something at the South Pole?
I don't know, somebody that really liked hip hop. It was weird, you know. But so that's what I have done, and I exited that business at the end of last year. And I'm a coach for a company called Traffic Sales or Profit. They are one of my clients, and also I'm, you know, on a tour with Verizon for AI in small business.
You left out the one thing that I thought was
What was
really
that?
interesting.
What?
Did you just write a book?
Oh, yeah, that too.
How could you forget that?
I don't know. I mean,
That age thing is going down.
maybe that's what it is, you know. I don't
Tell 'em
have
about
the
the
book.
book.
I don't have the book.
But tell them
with
what
me.
it is. Do you remember the title?
I
of the
don't even
book?
remember the title
Oh
of the
my
book.
goodness. Work with me, will you?
Talk about what's going on in the world today. That's what you need to talk about.
All right, tell me what's going on in the world today.
I don't know, man. AI, give me a break.
What is this, Abbott and Costello? We got
You know,
going?
basically, generative AI is just taking over everywhere I go, every conference. Generative AI, it's kind of like very strange.
Why is that very strange?
I don't know. I remember it just feels like, I'm not gonna say it's overhyped, but there is such a hype around it right now. And I was just watching like CNN and they're in Davos and, you know, and it was interesting because a lot of the people are actually finding ways to really use AI to do amazing things.
All right, I got a
I just think that's pretty
I got to spoon feed you here.
Yeah, spoon feed me. It's your show.
It's just, You wrote a book, but wasn't there something special about the way that the book was written?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So I wrote, okay, and now I get where you're
Yeah,
going.
thanks for joining me
Thank
right
you.
now.
Yeah, yeah. So I wrote a book, completely with AI as my co-author. And I did it from start to finish and all the way up to being sold on Amazon in 7 days.
7 days.
7 days. Yep. You know, in a thought leadership type book. You know
So
what I'm
was
saying?
it one AI or did you have an
I
ensemble of
actually
AI?
used two.
Okay.
I actually used
two.
two. You know, everybody talks about ChatGPT, and I think ChatGPT is a great suite of tools,
Okay.
right? But when it comes to actual writing content, like the written output, I don't think it even comes close to Claude. So I wrote most of it with Claude, but both Claude and ChatGPT have a limit. They all have a limited, you know, content size.
Okay.
However, you know, Gemini has it's probably 10x what the other guys are. And so I use that to edit the book because I could take all of the chapters, which I had to write the chapters individually.
Okay.
Right? And then I put it into Gemini and let Gemini get the throughput together so that it actually had a beginning, kind of ending. And it was interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, a cool test to see if this.
What were the biggest lessons? What are the biggest takeaways for doing this?
I think the biggest there's a whole lot going on with this. This was a proof of concept for me.
Okay.
I wanted to know if this could happen, right? Then we put it out on Amazon, and I can get instant reviews, right? Or not instant reviews, but as soon as somebody posts a
Like
review.
AI generated reviews or real people?
No, real people
Okay.
reviews,
All right.
right? And so I got a review that was a 1-star review.
A 1-star?
Yeah, 1-star review. And I'm sitting there and I'm talking to my team and they're like, yo, you know, you got somebody gave you a 1-star review. And I read the review and I'm like, wow, that is a very good review. Right? Because he tells me exactly why it was a 1-star review. He said it felt repetitive and it didn't have enough prompts in it.
I know who wrote that review.
Yeah.
Perplexity. The Perplexity wrote that review.
He's like, yeah, you didn't use me.
You didn't use me, you know.
You know, and so, but what was so cool about that is that I was able to take that shift and republish.
What was the time frame you did all that?
I did that yesterday. So the day before yesterday, I'm on the meeting with the team. Bro, you got a 1-star review? I get to the hotel yesterday, spend a little bit of time, make some adjustments, added a workbook kind of, you know, component, republish.
So you've written a book, what, about 10 years ago? Was it
Yes.
Kick-Ass Social Commerce. right?
Kick-Ass Social Commerce.
And you were working with a human editor.
No, human ghostwriter.
A human ghostwriter.
Right. Is that what you would call?
Well,
Co-author.
co-author.
You know, she was like, you.
Somebody actually did the damn writing for you.
Yeah, I mean, like, what book doesn't?
Yeah, so you did that about 10 years ago.
Yes.
Then you just did this experiment.
And just did this experiment.
What's better?
This.
So you like this?
Right, because I'm able to make adjustment by the end of whatever this cycle of me trying to figure all of these components out, by the end of that, I'll probably have rewritten the same book 5 to 10 times based on the output that I'm getting from reviews. And I'm also able to make comments back to people inside of, you know, the Amazon system. So I can tell this person, hey, thank you. We're going to do that. It's going to have a new, you know, pub date on it. Just let me know and I will give you a new copy.
All right.
So I'm going to perfect the book.
This is iterative process.
And an iterative process. I can't do that with the old publishing. Once it's done, it's done. You know?
Okay, but this is a physical book that people can.
Yeah, you order, well, you know, it's print on demand. I mean, that's where we are today. You know, that's why I don't have the damn book. You know, I try to get it printed and
You couldn't even get
It
your
was
own
too,
book?
I couldn't even get my own book. People are running up to me at I'm at a conference, up the street too. And people run up, can you sign my book? I'm like, bro, I haven't even seen the book yet.
So you haven't actually physically held your own book?
I haven't physically held my own book.
Does that make sense to anybody out here? It's just kind of, oh, of course, Mike Foss said
It does. This is where we're at. This is 2025.
It is?
Yeah, I'm just saying, I mean, like the old concept, we're throwing around a lot of, it's things are changing. Media in general is changing. Matter of fact, this conference right here is all about new tech and new media. This couldn't even be done, what, 3 years ago? I mean, how much just to have this kind of setup, being able to stream this live? I mean, it would have been tens of thousands, I don't know how much.
Tens of thousands?
I think so. I think so.
Very interesting. So you plan on doing this again and again and again?
I don't know. You know me, man. I mean, you know me, John, but I'll get bored. I'll do something once and it'll be like.
Yeah, you're bored. You can't even give us the title of your own damn
I don't,
book.
I've
I've asked you several times.
It's
you don't
the
know this.
AI playbook, I don't. Let me look it up. It's on.
Yeah, please look up the
Amazon.
name of your own book and let us know what
I'm
it
not
is.
trying to sell a book right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to talk to you about all these great things that are going on,
Well,
and people can actually get their message out. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying, and I know
That's
that
the- The AI power move blueprint. Somebody in the audience knows.
Oh, come
Thank
on, it's
you,
not
Monique.
just somebody, it's Monique
I was
Johnson.
gonna say,
It's our host. That's part of a good host, finding out the name of
She
the books,
knows, yeah.
when the author doesn't even know the name of their own book.
The
That's a
AI
good skill
power
to have.
move blueprint.
All right, there it is. Okay, so you're Mr. AI, because I know you talk a lot about this. What's
I'm
something
not
that
Mr. AI.
you, what's something about AI that the general public really hasn't picked up that you think is incredibly important that they need to jump on right now?
Yeah, you need to get out of your head. So many of us have ideas in our head, and we run through these ideas in our head, trying to perfect the idea in our head, right? And then what you'll end up doing a lot of times is you'll tell somebody else, right? And you'll try to, talk to somebody else, and they don't have the understanding to really be able to grasp what it is that's in your head, and have enough understanding about whatever industry or whatever move you're trying to make. You can use AI to actually have that conversation. And I think so many people are sitting around waiting for a prompt and some, other crap. And it's like, you have to understand, this AI is made for human conversation. If you just have a conversation with it, it's going to give you the insight of the entire internet. And I think people are totally missing out on how do you use AI? I'm like, what do you mean? That doesn't resonate with me when people are like, how do I use it? I'm like, if you just ask it, how can I use it? It'll tell you.
Well, that brings up one interesting point. How much, are we good on time? Okay, cool. So, we're in the chat GPT era, it's a little over 2 years, right?
2 years, wow.
So, and OpenAI came out and we kind of changed the game and all that kind of stuff. But it feels like, for the most part, most people are so focused on the AI component of that and not on the conversational aspects of the AI. Do you find that most people are so worried about all doing the trick and pony
shows,
AI kind of, and not really focusing on the conversational aspect of how this stuff is actually allowing us to do things more naturally than, back in the day, we had to talk like a computer.
Right, exactly. I think that is a very good point.
I make a lot of good points.
Every once in a while.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, I need a laugh track. On that
No, you
because,
don't.
I mean, that's funny.
Just say you're right, Brent. Move on.
But I mean, I think that is we're getting to the point now where, the conversational part, and just think about this, man. I mean, we've talked about that when Alexa came out. We thought that was conversational.
Remember when I was really a big.
Oh my gosh. You were just like, Alexa's gonna change the world, Alexa, man. I was like, bro, it's not ready. It just wasn't ready.
It wasn't
It
ready.
didn't have intelligence.
Nah.
It was running through, like, if somebody says this, we're gonna go and say that.
And it wasn't conversation.
And it wasn't
just command.
conversation, yes.
You give it a command and it does something.
And so I think we're moving away from that, but I think people are still in that kind of thinking. And they're like, how do I program it to give me, you don't have to anymore. When you talk to it, it will program itself to give you a response. It's kind of
It'll write a
crazy.
book for you now.
It'll write a book for you now.
And I
Pretty
bet-
much.
Well, yeah, I mean.
You gotta have, but it's, you know, it's an iterative process. It's me and the computer, just like it was me in the, you know, co-author or the ghostwriter. I mean, the ghostwriter doesn't just all of a sudden come up with all the concepts. You pour into them and then they take that and turn it into a piece of reading material.
When do you think people are gonna get really good with what you just laid out? Actually working with the AI in a more conversational manner. Because right now, it almost feels like people are hoping that they give a command and then AI just does all of it. And they do it all the way they think they want it done until they find out it doesn't do that.
He said, you got 5 minutes, bro.
I got 5 minutes?
You got 5. So remember this.
That's a phone.
Right. I compare AI to the phone. All right, in that when we first had mobile phone, and I'm gonna say when we first got the Apple phone.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're
'Cause
not
that's
talking
what I'm-
about the BlackBerry or
No, not really, you know?
the flip
But
phones?
actually, if you think, well, let's just go with the Apple iPhone.
All right.
All right, when that first came out, the reality of what it was going to do, if you look at what Steve Jobs said, he said, it's gonna have a phone, it's gonna be able to browse the internet, and what's the other thing he said it could do?
Play music?
Yeah, I think it was play music. Those are the big 3 things. You're gonna have your music in your pocket, right? He never mentioned the camera.
Which is like the big.
That's right. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That was the tipping point.
That's because once you get a tech in the user's hands,
Right, then that's
they'll
not.
come up
that's
with
got-
all things. Why the wings?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's where we are with AI. I don't know what's gonna be the tipping point. But at some point, people are gonna say, I can use this to do X, like everybody's trying to make it like, oh, it can make travel arrangements for you. I'm like, that's so stupid. I mean, what is your spouse for? Duh. I mean, come on, you know, yeah. no,
Yeah, I'm
those
not
of us-
touching that one.
Yeah, those are, I mean, look, please. No, I mean, you know,
All right.
I'm the spouse that makes it, so.
Yeah. I mean, is there anything else other than AI that we could talk about at this point? I mean, do you get tired of talking about AI?
I get tired, not really.
Really?
Not really, only because I'm just like, it's just the leading edge of tech.
Okay.
And I never get bored with the leading edge of tech, you know, and
I'm
so
glad-
AI is sort of that. now.
He kind of got bored with that 12-year-old laptop you had.
Oh my gosh, man.
It's like,
Wow, really? You're so wrong for that.
you know.
I got a brand new computer, yay.
All right, let's talk about what we do usually on Friday afternoons.
Okay, talk about it.
So hopefully, this is just a little taste, but we do a weekly show, 5 o'clock Eastern on Fridays, called Pass the Mic, where I get a chance to correct his mistakes, really put him in his place. Am I missing anything? Yeah.
I think we're out of time.
Yeah, I think we're out of time. but Just as we're getting ready to talk about me.
No.
No, anyway, no, thanks for doing this. We got to, no, thanks for filling in. I really appreciate
I
that.
appreciate you pulling me in on this journey.
And once again, what's the name of your book? Don't pull out the phone. It's the one person who wrote a book who cannot ever.
AI Power Move Blueprint. Ah!
Yeah, why don't you take a picture of that and
I'm gonna try to do that, but you know, if I just ask AI, it would tell me.
And when you get a physical copy of the book, let me know.
I will definitely do that, sir.
All right, well, thanks again.
Thank you.
And now I throw it over to our host, Monique Johnson.
I just built a giver.
Yeah, give her the mic. Pass the mic to her.
Pass the mic.
All right. Let's give a round of applause to John Lawson, who can't remember the name of his book, but I'm sure he'll get it down very soon. And also to Brent, for doing a few good minutes. So we're almost end, you all. By so quickly. It's crazy. But we hope that Jonathan Becker, hopefully we can possibly get you on it another time, but thank you, John Lawson, for filling in, and also you all talking about Pass the Mic, which is another great show that comes on Fridays. So without further ado, we are going to set up for our next show, which is actually the final show. It's something that's it's very visibly, it's the hot seat, okay? So stay tuned as we set up for the hot seat, our very last show that we'll be doing for today, this afternoon at least. And yeah, guys, get ready for our very last show that we're setting up for in just a few minutes. Stay tuned, don't go anywhere. If you have stuff you need to take care of, be sure to come back. All right, thank you so much.
Automatically on.
They're not on.
Don't throw to me first, Michael. Don't throw to me first. I love our fire engines. We really should get some fire on the show soon. What? We should get some fire on the show soon. Yeah, we need some like attention. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe we should put Thomas in the class.
Tell them to shut this.
Sorry, say that again.
You guys are good. You're good. You're good. You're good.
Awesome. Okay. Just like old times.
Welcome to this special edition of In the Hot Seat. We're joining you today from IRL conference, the CRM Players Conference in Atlanta, Georgia. First annual, well, first annual, it's annual. And we're going to do something a little different today. So we wanted to. We've been doing the show now for 2.5 years almost, and so we obviously a lot of interesting episodes in the background, and we wanted to go back through the past year, and then also set this up because we're getting ready to launch the new season, and so we're going to talk a little bit about what we've done before that we think is relevant and interesting, or at least in our opinions, and then we'll close it out. So. Yes, you guys want to jump in, and if you watch the show at all, of course, I should say, you see that you have 4 co-hosts here. So we don't have a guest. I guess we're like beginning in this before. So we're the guests. I don't know, Christy, you want to start with yours?
Sure. So when we started looking back through the episodes from 2023, the one that really resonated with me was episode 23, where we talked about the impact of AI in product management. And I think it wasn't necessarily so much about the product management aspect. And this is a theme throughout all of the episodes that we each picked, that AI is going to replace the mundane. You know, everybody is so worried about AI coming for their jobs. And there are all kinds of articles out there now on LinkedIn and everywhere else about product management and how AI is going to take over product management. And that's not actually what we're seeing. What we're seeing is that AI is taking the mundane pieces of product management and letting product managers focus on what they're actually really good at, right? All of the creative, fun, strategic stuff that product managers love to do, they're finally getting to do because AI is taking over the stuff that they don't like to do. Like writing user stories, there's AI, create user stories for you. Writing use cases and acceptance criteria, all of those things that can be automatically generated.
Do you think, because I think that's a very interesting episode, and you're right, product management is one of the areas where you could see some of the tasks come away, but you're actually, at least for now, not looking for a agentic approach to doing product management and replacement.
Right.
Well, do you think that works across the business? So this is the same kind of question, right? Is it AI replacing? Is it AI reducing certain amounts of work, certain types of work? Is that what you think from that episode?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the consistent theme that we've heard is that, you know, AI is just gonna replace all of those things that you do because you have to do, not the things you do because you want to do. And that's across the board, even some of the low-level coding things, right? The developers don't necessarily enjoy doing, but they're going to be able to forego that because AI will take that piece away and they can actually do the stuff that they have to do.
Yeah, I read an interesting quote from some of our chat the other day. That he says 25% of all Google's code base is written by AI. 25%.
You said that, that's fascinating.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting number, and I wonder at the CEO level, it's 25%, and on the ground, is it really 45% or?
Yeah, absolutely. Who knows?
Well,
It was interesting because as I was going back through the episodes, right, AI was so not shocking, prevalent in every single episode, even if our topic was not specific to AI, right? It somehow infused its way into the conversation. And the episode that I picked out that I really, I mean, I enjoyed them all. We have such amazing guests, and I think diving into these topics, so it was really hard to pick one episode. But the go-to-market episode that we did with some of the folks from Revenue Reimagined with Dale and Adam had a great conversation. There were 3 really main points that jumped out at me, with one that dovetails off what we were talking about with AI. In our conversation, it came up about AI and being used from the sales side, and how with SDRs and their traditional efforts and what they're doing, AI not necessarily replacing the SDR, but making the SDR shine, and making the AE shine on who can build those relationships, which I thought was really interesting, right? The AI was taking away that mundane task that you talked about, but it was really spotlighting who has the ability to build that relationship and begin cultivating, building that customer experience from the ground up, right out of the gates, which I thought was really exciting. There's a lot more points that I really enjoyed on that episode, but I know that you may have some thoughts on what I just said about AI and SDRs.
Well, actually, so the episode I picked was the first one we did in 2024, which was supposed to be us looking into the crystal ball about how AI was going to affect sales, marketing, service, and so on. And you actually said something that I thought was the most interesting thing in an episode, which was,
This recorded.
Take that as a win.
Mark that.
which was that technology companies need to be cognizant of the fact that this increasing number of customers are not even calling on vendors for any sales input until they've already made a decision. And that number is now 68 to 70% of at least software buyers. So I mean, that's an existential threat if you're in a sales organization and nobody wants to talk to you. Right? And the thing I was gonna ask you guys was, what does that mean? If you're being brought in at the final stage of the sales process, is there even a sales process anymore? And if there's not, what is it?
Yes, there is a sales process, but it's a completely different sales process.
I mean, it's almost like you have to reverse engineer a sale now if you're being brought in. Well, I think and thank you for quoting the survey that I wrote many years ago. So I've looked at that data year over year, right, since 2014, I think is when I first did the survey. And I wonder if the problem's not, I think it's slightly different. It's not that if you're the sales guy, it's all lost. It's that you've got to think about this in a different way. Right? You've got to somehow get upstream in that conversation, the one that's not happening, so that you can in fact be involved all the way down, which means you have to be a trusted advisor. You have to be in the loop with that very early, much earlier. And to me, that means that you've got to change the journey, the way you think of a journey, into a dynamic map that adjusts based on the data you're able to collect, so that it can get you in early. That's my opinion.
Well, and I'm gonna jump on that you've heard me talk about the customer journey and how funnel is dead, and even the journey is, to me, it's an infinity loop. Like when I think about how a customer comes through with an organization, their journey, which they are defining their journey, right? Even though we sit here and we talk about how we map out a customer journey, in reality, the customer defines their own journey. Right. We're helping to facilitate an experience so that they choose certain paths, but we have to be dynamic enough to ensure that we're giving them options and that we are dynamic enough to change as they're pivoting on their decisions through that journey. To your point about building in that content prior and making sure that we're putting out the right information on front to educate someone. I'm also gonna challenge and say, everyone is sales and marketing. It is no longer sales who's responsible for sales, it's product, it's sales, it's marketing, it's finance, it's everyone. And you have to think about that and how the customer's interacting with you through their journey.
Well, and you also have to think about all of the different journeys that you have, right? If you're a company that does journey mapping in any form or journey tracking, then you don't come up with it, right? Sales has a journey, marketing has a journey, product has a journey. All of those three now need to tie together tighter than ever, because if one of those has to pivot, they pretty much all have to pivot.
Yeah, see, I think the one piece that when I talk about dynamic journey mapping or whatever you call it, modeling, I feel like the word model or map, but whatever. The idea is that if in real time, if you can adjust what you're doing to create that interaction point, the way the customer wants you to do, not the way you want to do.
Right.
That's the shift, and this idea then of dynamic, and this is where AI comes in, is the capability to digest all of that real-time data and adjust your approach as that happens, which is different. We couldn't have done that 3 years ago.
So the thing that it crossed my mind was that the way that you reverse engineer a sale is you look at it not in terms of a set of activities that happens in some linear predictable path, but more as, just like you were saying, Michael, if you take it from, well, how does the buyer look at it, right? Well, what they're trying to do is make a decision. And what do they need to make that decision? They need information. And so really a model that contains the information that they need to solve for that's
when they need it.
Right, when they need it, right? And you know, it's not so much that this is a sales enablement thing where just the seller needs to know this. The seller needs to be able to coach the buyers on what they need to know and what they don't need to know based on their.
And also be open to the buyer coaching the seller.
Yes, yeah. No, so it's a collaborative, cooperative kind of approach to how do we make this decision, but you've got to be, as you said, in that position already to have a seat at the table. If you're not a trusted advisor, then they're gonna be getting trusted advice from somebody else.
Probably.
Right, exactly.
All right, I'm gonna jump to the episode that I picked, because I thought it ended up being really appropriate for the day. I picked episode 32, which was community-led growth. And I was thinking about it this morning in the context, and several people talked about how this community has grown and evolved and how, you know, there's so much love and affection and just genuine respect that I see in a group like this. And it made me think about that episode quite a lot. And I pulled a couple things out of it to add because I thought they were very appropriate for it. For in that episode, I should say, Jared Robin and Stapleton were our guests, you know, the hosts. And Jared said something that I particularly liked the more I thought about it. Community supports a product that grows into a movement.
Yeah, I loved when you said that, yes.
Yeah, I think, and then of course he added community support movements, period. And I think that's a, you know, social impact built into the movement and all these kind of B2C things that we're now starting to talk about in the B2B world. And I think the other one that was really useful is Andrew threw in the community as an organism. As soon as you look at it as a sales tool, the air comes out of the balloons.
Yeah. Absolutely, and I remember in that episode when you were talking about, you know, community and how you build community, and if you think about it, everyone's building community, right? Everyone's trying to get into the community movement. So how do you differentiate yourself? And for me, the biggest, when I walked away from that, it's 2 words for me: show up. Right? Because if you're there to sell, you will fail. But if you're there to support and help someone grow and you show up, a question is asked, you participate in the answer. You're not expecting them to come to you from a solution standpoint, but you're now building that trusted advisory. So for me, community equals show up.
Yeah, and the other thing that I would add is something that I first, I think, wrote years ago when we were talking about social, And that is that it's a balanced value proposition. I'm willing to give if I'm getting equal, right? In a community, it needs to be both. You need to be able to see the value and then help provide that.
And I loved how they talked in that episode about not just when you bring sales into it, the airflow goes out of the room, but not only do you not want to do the sales there, but you want to invite your competitors. And you want to invite your collaborators, and you want to invite people that you wouldn't invite into any other room, because it's a higher purpose. It isn't the purpose about your product. It's a purpose about what you're trying to solve, what you're trying to do.
Which is the opposite of sales training, right? Control the conversation, control the flow, control this. That's why it's so like.
So here's a holiday reference, holiday movie reference. I just thought of this when you said it, but Miracle on 34th Street. You guys remember this part of the story? Macy's didn't have something and Santa sends them to their competitor because they have it at a better price or whatever. Right? I mean, I think that's a really interesting lesson that we need for in the world we're in today.
And I can distinctly remember conversations with some clients in talking about communities and the idea of, well, we don't necessarily want our product people or our engineers or anyone in those communities, because then, you know, how do you control that narrative? You don't control the narrative, number one, right? You don't. And number two, if they're not involved in that conversation, they're going off someplace else to get that information that actually is really not controlled. So you have to just take off those gates, I mean, and just show up, right?
Well, and that there's a bigger point there about your product team, and you know, we don't want the product team to engage with anybody we're selling with. We don't want the product team to engage with our customers. Why not? Because the only way your product is ever going to do what your users want it to do is if your product people are talking to the users and the prospects and people who want your product, but they need to understand how it functions. I mean, there's a whole bigger.
Well, and I mean, that's a big part of this idea. If you have a community of users, you're going to be able to do. I mean, that was when I was at G2 and the program we built there. That was a big part of what we were trying to do, was help collect the information from the users that be relevant to other users, but also to the vendors, right? To the product management and to the, you know, to the whole product dev team to learn. Because how do you learn what your product's doing? Well, you ask.
Right, and is it doing what you want it to do? Is it doing the way you want it to do it? And even more importantly, are you using it in a way that we didn't intend for you to use that product? Because if you are, there might be something there that's innovative.
Yeah, maybe there is something that you didn't even understand about your project.
Like look at Facebook, with Facebook events. They created events because people started using Facebook to post events. That wasn't brainchild.
I just thought they did it to try to draw more people into the ads.
Oh, that's what happened. Right.
Anyway, so any other things we want to talk about from the episodes? Anything else? Because I know there were a couple other.
I know that, well, in the other episode where we were talking about the go-to-market, and this goes back to bringing out the content and the information through that journey. I was thinking about when you said about AI, right? Yes, you have the AI that's, you know, crunching through all that data that you have collected. Data in has to be clean, right? Number one, but we also have to think about the marketing content snippets, the sales content snippets that we're putting in for the AI to be able to leverage to feed back out to the people who are coming through with our journey, right? It's not all about just the data that we have on our customers. We have to think differently about our content in snippets.
Well, and the other thing, and you talk about the data, and obviously when we talk about AI, there's always some discussion about the data as it goes on. But the truth is, and somebody else said this on the other stage earlier today, but the tools are getting to the point now where the AI actually releases its own data. So you're getting, I mean, it's not completely there, but you are getting to the point, and at the same time, we've got models that are starting to evolve and train themselves on whatever they need to as they evolve through the
remember back when, well, you still do it today, but when you're writing, you're drafting a press release, right? You think about that headline. And that has to be all encompassing for the book and the content that gets agreed. That's how I think about, or that's how I think we have to start thinking about the information that we want to put in our library and get that small and succinct because it's that small of a snippet, right? And that's really challenging when you're putting together your library of content because we don't think in 6 words.
Right,
We
you're
like 10 words or those.
For the first time, we're making it consumable.
Yeah.
In real time, you know, and forget all the, what my attention span is and all that, it's just, what's the answer I want, I don't want anything else, right? And that's why everybody uses, you know, LLMs now instead of search, because I don't need the best 1 million results. I just want the answer, is this a public company or not?
Right, and I mean, that is in fact why I don't use Google search, I use Perplexity all the time now, because I'm actually trying to get an answer, not a way to find an answer. And that is actually what's happening with the content side of the business as well. I want the thing that I want now.
Right, and the more AI evolves, the more the concept of knowledge graphing evolves and retrieval augmented generation, the more you start to get to those snippets, where regardless of what you want, that is all broken down anyway.
Yeah.
And fed into the LLM as you do.
Yeah, that's true. We're starting to get the hook
Okay,
here, I
okay.
think, so, but.
I'm gonna seal my lips. No, I'm gonna seal my lips. Cause it'll go right down the rabbit hole.
Okay, all right. Well, so that's a little bit of a recap from last season. We'd like to invite you all to join us. It's a bi-weekly show, live show, and then also on demand. So you can go to YouTube or you can go to the Player Production Network site and look at those episodes. We got a lot of really interesting things that we're going to do this next year. We tend to do series, so we'll do 3 or 4 episodes that are related to a single topic, and then we'll switch to a different topic. So a lot of good stuff coming up. I'm not going to disclose any of those things yet because we're going to start to market the next season over the next couple of weeks. But anyway, I appreciate you joining us today. I guess we should sign off. I'm Michael Fawcett.
I'm Christy Pepper. I'm Jody Spencer.
And Pete Smith.
Thank you. And if you think you have what it takes to be in the hot seat, just let us know. We'd love to have.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you so much. Oh my goodness, you all, we are at the end of the Playaz production zone. Can you guys believe it? Like the time went by so fast. And you all enjoyed the hot seat, the crunch. I wish I could remember the other ones, a few good minutes, a few other ones that I forgot. I'm so sorry, off the top of my head. I'm really excited that we all had the opportunity to see the live production and live streaming of these various shows. So without further ado, you all, whether you're tuning in live, whether you are in virtually, we're not done. This doesn't mean it's done. We're actually gonna head back to the CRM Playaz zone, which is the main stage. Still sessions are going on there, so we're not done. I think we officially are ending around 4 o'clock this afternoon. So please do what you need to do, but be sure to head back on over, whether it's virtually or in person, to the CRM Playaz zone, aka the main stage. All right. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure being here with you all in the production area, the production studio. And now we'll head back to the main program. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hard.
The only time I use that port, the USB-C